Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. This video is part of my Did I Nail It series, where I take a look at upcoming nail polish releases and see if I can use polishes that I already own to recreate them through layering. And oftentimes even if it's the case that I don't succeed, I usually end up finding some kind of combination that I never would have thought of that I can enjoy and wear sometime in the future. So you all know what you clicked into. This one is talking about this month's Polish Pickup offerings. If you're unfamiliar with Polish Pickup, it's one of these monthly collaborations between indie makers who create limited edition products like nail polish around a certain theme. This month's PPU is, sorry, I'm realizing I'm talking with my hands down here and it's clacking my buttons. And actually, this is perfect segue into this because the theme of this month's Polish Pickup that's going to be open between April 3rd to 6th is album covers. And I've mentioned on this channel before that I'm a Swiftie, and so this is one of my many Taylor Swift theme cardigans that I have representing all the different eras. So if you happen to hear some buttons clicking, that's what's going on there. I'll also mention too that in case you missed it, I'll put a link to this in the description. My most recent video that I posted before this one is one where I decided to choose 10 of my favorite albums and come up with nail polish layering combinations based on them. And it was a ton of fun. So I say this because if you're looking at this month's PPU offerings and you're finding that maybe the inspiration there just wasn't in alignment with what you're looking for, or maybe if you're on a low buy or a no buy, but you still want to have some fun around this theme, please do check that out, because I've got to say, even for me as somebody who does a lot of nail polish, layering is just, one of my favorite parts of this hobby. I was so surprised by how well some of those polishes went together. I'm like, why have I not worn this before? So definitely check that out. And yeah, so I think I'm covering 5 different polishes in this video, and yeah, it's gonna be a blast. So let's go ahead and get right into it. To begin, as always, I would like to take a quick look at what's on my nails. I decided to go with a Skittle that was Taylor Swift Life of a Showgirl album cover theme. So I'll start with this one here. I used an orange cream polish as the base of this, and then put, I wanted some white polka dots, so then put on top of that Familiar Polishes Snowfall. Then I was about to isolate this one, let me not give you all the finger. Then for this gold thumb that I've got here, this one is starting with OPI's Susie Slinging Mezcal. And then on top of that, I did 2 coats, because I really love glitter, of cracked polishes Make It Pretty. I really love this shade of gold. It's, for me, I think my undertone is a cool olive. It wasn't until I started doing YouTube videos and actually editing, and when you edit videos you are looking at yourself. This sounds really, really ridiculous, I know, but with the more videos of myself I was editing, the more I was looking at myself, and I'm like, my skin is more olive tone than I realized. And also, I know my name is Olivia, so I probably should have realized it sooner. But so what I'm saying is, for me to have kind of yellowy olive undertones in some ways, I'm surprised by how much I do love this gold. However, if you take a close look around the left side of here, This one, this polish does have a tendency to be more brush strokey than I would like. So I'm on the lookout for another gold. I'm definitely going to continue to use up all of this because I, already have it and I don't want to waste it. But if any of you have any good gold polish recommendations that are like this shade of gold, but with a really good formula, please let me know. Okay, and then the last thing for my other thumb, the one that's kind of like this bluish greeny with an orange, I started with a couple coats of Blank Beauty's After Party, which, if I'm not mistaken, was part of a duo that they put out, like a green and like a sage green and orange duo to celebrate the Life of a Showgirl album release. And then because I wanted to give it a little bit more dimension, I put over top of it this orange shimmer topper that I made by using some pigment from Glitter Unique. And then, because that still wasn't enough for me, I really loved putting on, there we go, Starly's Stars to give it just enough of a little dainty sparkle. And Stars is so dainty that depending on the polish that you pair it with, sometimes this will just get swallowed right up in it and you can't even see it. But I feel like for something like this, it is just the perfect amount of sparkle. So last thing I'll say about that is, part of why I always love showing you all what's on my nails is so that I can give you some other polish combination inspiration. And especially if you're someone who's trying to get more out of the polishes that you already have, this is, for me, I've been finding it's a fantastic way of bringing out multiple polishes to use within a single manicure. Yay! Okay, so let's move into our first polish that we're going to try to dupe for this month. I'll also say, for those of you who might not have seen my previous video, I am coming back from a recent, and technically I guess it's still ongoing bout of bronchitis. So my voice now is the best that it has been in like a week and a half, thankfully, but it still is not back to full normal Olivia, so if I do sound a little bit raspy, that's just why. Okay, first one is Wake Me Up Inside from Cuticula, and I believe it is inspired by Evanescence's Fallen album, which, oh goodness, I love that album so much. And the website describes Wake Me Up Inside as a deep blue base with a bright blue magnetic effect and blue/aqua glass flakes. I have been seeing a lot of interest in nail polish forms around this polish, and for good reason. And I mean, that's I'm drawn to this one too, not just because of my love of that Evanescence album, but I love the color blue. I love magnetic polishes, and this one just looks very it looks like you're looking into like this frozen pond, this frozen icy pond. But at the same time, I know for myself, I'm trying to be a lot more selective and discerning about the new polishes that I choose to bring into my collection. For me, it's more of trying to reduce the number of choices that I have available to me, because I can often go into like decision paralysis. But if it's the case that I already have the ingredients to make this happen, forgot to put one more over here, then I think that it's this is something that I could still potentially create on my own, just by using these separate pieces. So to begin, I've got two different options I'm going to swatch out here. For each of these, I've put down 2 coats of Color Club's Nighttime is the Right Time, which is a gorgeous dark blue cream. It's like so dark, it almost looks black, but if I hold it next to black on the left, that's when suddenly this looks a lot more blue, right? But if you didn't have black next to it, it just looks like it is black. So starting there. Now, looking at these polishes, or looking at Wake Me Up Inside, looking at the photos of this polish, I see that we've got these blue flakes that are underneath the magnetic part. So I've got 2 options I'm going to try out for this. The first one is from Starly. It's called Lapis Lazuli. And something about this topper is that it's a little thick. As I said that, I was like singing the like Nicole Loves Nails, like little cat image, you know, it's a little thick, the little thing that she does. But I feel that in this case, because I'm going to be putting a magnetic topper over it, that might be a good thing, because I want there to be a lot more build up than I normally would if I were to just wear this as a topper. So here is lapis lazuli. Okay, I'm actually gonna go back for more, which never happens. Like usually if I'm using a flake topper, it's because I still do want to see a great deal, or at least a considerable bit of the color that's underneath it. But here, because I know that Cuticula is known for having a ton of flakes in their polishes, I'm kind of going more heavy-handed than I normally do. So, okay, there's that. I mean, I put so much on here. Y'all can see on the left, we got something sticking out. On the top right over here. But you know what? We're just going to ignore that. That's not really happening right now. It's a little messy. Okay. The other option that I wanted to try out to see was like, okay, so like, let's say it's the case that you are wanting to dupe this, but you don't necessarily have a standalone blue flake topper like lapis lazuli, but you do have something that's similar. It's like a flake heavy polish like KBShimmer's spell check. There we go. So let's see how this one is gonna go. Oh, this is just so stunning. Like that is, I love, love, love dark blue. Okay, so let's see. Wait, I don't know what just happened, but another one just like started sticking out over there. That one is just, this is like me when I'm having an off hair day and I just have, okay y'all, sometimes what'll happen, I have some curls in my hair that have a mind of their own, and I swear they will just be doing their own thing, and I'm just going about my day living life, and then if I'm out like with a friend or something, or my husband, they'll be like, you've got this random hair sticking out. And I don't know how it happens, but I will have like a curl that has somehow just, I'm not even kidding, it will be sticking out like a good 2 extra inches from the rest of my hair. I don't know how that works. So I relate to this over there. So I put on a couple of, you know, swipes of spell check. So far, I think the key difference here is that spell check does have a little bit more green in it, which isn't necessarily present in Wake Me Up Inside. I mean, it says blue and aqua glass flakes. We're just going to keep that open to interpretation. Okay. Also, there's like blue flakes or something blue flaking down there, probably from like the rim of one of these polishes. And the last element that I'm gonna put in here is going to be Fancy Gloss's light blue magnetic top coat. And I really hope that this one is going to be as straightforward as I think that it's going to be. You know, like I can see what the components are. It makes sense that this is going to go. The one thing I will say that might be a differentiator is that when I look at the color of this Fancy Gloss light blue magnetic top coat, this seems to be pushing ever so slightly into the aqua side of blue, whereas Wake Me Up Inside has more of a cobalt blue magnetic line. But you know, let's try it out and see what happens. Okay. I hope this works. As I'm magnetizing this, I'll say a couple years ago, I finally got the chance to see Evanescence live in concert for the first time. They were opening up for, I think it was Muse, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I felt like I was back in high school all over again. And yeah, I love it when musicians that I've been a fan of for a very long time, but that maybe I didn't have a chance to see when I was younger, are still actively touring today, and then I can go see them, which is great. Okay. Ooh. Okay. that's really good. Wow. Yep. Okay. So yeah, let me try to zoom in just a little bit and keep the focus here. So you can probably see more clearly what I mean by the color of that aqua magnetic line compared to the more cobalt blue of Wake Me Up Inside. But you know, this is the kind of thing that makes me ask myself, how often is it that I find myself wanting to use this kind of color combination, right? Like, let's say in theory, if it were the case that I was someone who like dark blue magnetic with flakes was something that I just constantly find myself wearing, and therefore I could maybe justify having multiple variations of that, then I could maybe make a case of like, yeah, let's add Wake Me Up Inside as another option. However, that is not the case for me, and I think that, oh, that's pretty too. Okay, so here's my final verdict on this. I think that probably using like purely blue flake topper like lapis lazuli is going to get you closer to Wake Me Up Inside. But the option that I prefer more is the one on the right, because I think that seeing the color variety of the blue and green flakes underneath is just absolutely stunning. Something that you could potentially try to do to take this experiment a step even further, if you're looking at this and you're still feeling like it's not giving you all of the color that you're hoping for, you know what? I'm gonna do that. Let me grab another polish real quick. Okay, I wasn't planning on doing this, but hey, we're here for science, so let's do it. So I'm gonna keep the one on the right as is, because this is one that I just love that combination. What I was thinking of doing is to say, like, if the light blue magnetic line isn't in alignment with that cobalt blue that you're wanting, I'm gonna try to experiment with putting a blue jelly on top of that. So this is blueberry jam from Blank Beauty, and you know, as with any kind of jelly, they are intended to be sheer. So I'm just trying to, you know, set the right expectations here and let you know this is probably not going to be like, oh my goodness, it's a totally completely different shade of blue, you know. But I do think that this is shifting it somewhat slightly. So I'm just gonna magnetize that again, because, you know, anytime you put on more polish, you're like re-wetting that magnetic polish underneath. This is looking not bad. I would say, yeah, experiment with it a little bit. I think that, you know, if you are on a budget, if you're on a low buy, no buy, and you do have these kinds of components already in your collection, I encourage you to give it a try and see if it'll give you the kind of result that you're looking for. And, you know, I'm on the fence, because I didn't think I was gonna do anything different to the one on the right, but now that I see what I've done here on the left, I think that what I really want is to do it on the right as well, not mainly to cover up or to tint that magnetic line, but because I want it to look even more like a pond. So, okay, here we go. Let's do this. And I'm just gonna put a little bit more in here. Okay. And then magnetize that. Oh, okay, I think I like that. Yeah. And you know, I'll also say too that through this process of testing things out, you might even find that you end up liking your own combination more than the polish you were trying to dupe, which I think is going to be the case for me with this one right here. I meant to put on the DRK Magic Effect, you know, this product you can use to give a more crisp magnetic line. I already did put a jelly over top of that though, so I'm not sure exactly how effective that will be in giving a more crisp magnetic line. I'm still going to do that anyway, just because that is the way that I always do work with magnetics, and I do want to be consistent with that and be able to see as much of the underlying layers as possible. But yeah, did I nail it? I think so. This is totally matching that same kind of vibe, and I still feel like moody evanescence from this, and this is definitely a combination I could see myself wearing at some point. Next is Pahlish's She Left Me Roses by the Stairs. I tried so hard just now to like not sing that instead of saying it, so yay me. The website says that this polish is a bright cherry red jelly packed with fine aqua blue shifting shimmer, and it was inspired by Blink 182's Enema of the State album cover. Okay, also, yes, I want to mention that both this polish and the one before, the Cuticula, the website says that there's no cap, meaning that if you're new to these monthly boxes like Polish Pickup, don't worry, that's not referring to like the bottle cap. It's referring to the maximum number of polishes that will be available. Some polishes are capped at, say, like 200, 300, and then once they're sold out, they're gone. But others, like this one, have no cap on them. Okay, so meaning there's no limit. Now, this is a good example of a polish where I looked at the description, and at least to me personally, I felt that the description doesn't seem to align with what I'm seeing in the photos, namely where it's saying that this is a bright cherry red jelly. Now, for me personally, when I hear cherry red jelly, I think of something like this, like Starly's Flame Jelly. But then I'm just like, I know how this looks when I put toppers over this, and I know that it's the no amount of topper is going to get me to that level of pink, like what I'm seeing in these photos here. I mean, I could, but I would have to pile up a whole lot of stuff on there first. Now, instead, I'm going to go based on what I'm seeing in the photos. And to me, this appears to be more of a pink jelly base. And because of that, I decided to start with 2 coats of Cirque's Lolly Jelly. And, you know, hopefully you can see the intent there, that I think this is gonna work. Now, the other thing is that the description says that this polish is packed with fine aqua blue shifting shimmer. I'm gonna start first with, well, I do have an aqua bluish shimmer here. This is Fancy Gloss's Aqua Goddess. So I'm gonna see how this looks, and if this turns out to actually match what's going on with She Left Me Roses by the Stairs, I will admit that I was wrong. But I have a theory here. So let's see. Oh, okay, I see how this actually is looking closer than I thought that it would. That's pretty good. This is where I'll say what I was thinking more so, and what I still feel like I'm seeing to a certain extent in some of the photos here, is that the shimmer looks in some lighting less blue and more yellow. And so I wanted to test that out as well to see if that might be something that I could replicate. So the yellow shimmer topper that I'm gonna use is BCB Lacquer's Next Question. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was wrong. This is not what I thought that it was going to lean more gold. I feel like now as I'm looking in the swatch photos, I do see more of the blue and teal. But, you know, I think it is fascinating how, depending on like things like the angle and things like that, it can look more one way than the other. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to add into this. I know I often struggle with telling myself when I need to stop and just be like, leave that there. So I think that I will be stopping here for this one. Did I nail it? I think so. This one was also pretty straightforward to me, where I started with like a pink jelly, put on a teal aqua shimmer topper, and it gives me that same overall vibe. Like, ooh, okay. I don't know if this is a combination I would necessarily wear myself, but I love that this combination exists. And, you know, I was also hoping that I was going to enjoy this combination more than I did, but hey, this is why I make these videos, to test things out, see what I like, see what I don't. So let's take a look at this in some other lighting and move on to the next one. Next is Rumours from Rogue Lacquer. The website says that it was inspired by the iconic Fleetwood Mac album, and it has a cream base with rainbow micro glass flake and black metallic flakes, and there's no cap. For this one, I decided to start with this light gray cream polish from Blank Beauty called Sesame Bean. Now I know because sometimes coloring can be difficult to pick up on camera, and I always do color correct and when I'm editing my videos to ensure that the way that I'm seeing it in person matches what you all are seeing on video. But I wanted to take this a step further and really show you all where this particular gray resides on kind of a spectrum. So a slightly darker gray that I also have in my collection is from Cracked, called Don't Throw Stones. And then on the other side, I'm gonna show you this next to Crack's Crinkled Linens, which is an off-white cream polish. So yeah, I feel like probably the most accurate color for trying to dupe Rumours would probably be somewhere between Sesame Bean in the middle and Crinkled Linens on the right, but I wanted to err more on the side of pushing it a little bit gray. So that's where we're gonna start there. But I am gonna do a couple of different things with this. First though, for both of these, I'm gonna start by putting down some, well actually, let's talk through this. I've got black flakes, I've got crack polishes, mascara flakes. I love her. This is just, By the way, I am still waiting for, I think, 1 or 2 more black flake polishes to come in the mail, and then I'll have all of the ones that I have gathered for like my mega black flake comparison video that I've been planning for a while now. If you happen to miss an earlier video that I did where I compared Crack's mascara flakes and Hollow Taco's what's it called, Black Flake Taco, I believe, I put a link to that in the description so you can check that out. But I wanted to take it a step further and just see like who else has black flakes out there, and let's compare them, so be on the lookout for that. But I've got this one, and I also, for this, I'm going to include ILMP's Confetti, which is a rainbow micro flake topper. Now, I think that part of why I want to put down mascara flakes first is so that the rainbow flakes can sit more on top of that, as opposed to the other way around. But of course, if this were a polish that, you know, you were actually mixing up, these would be very much all intertwined and it wouldn't be a layering thing. But I've got 2 different things I'm gonna do here. So the first option, I think, is gonna be like, I know what this first one's gonna end up looking like just in my mind, but the second one is, we're gonna see. So gonna put down mascara flakes on both of these. I just love this topper. This is one of my go-to options for times when I'm like, if I'm wearing a cream polish and I just want to zhuzh it up a bit and have some more visual texture. I love it. Okay, so we've got this. Also, just stopping here, like I could totally wear that. Okay, Hey, cookies and cream. Now, the other thing that we're going to do, once I give this a second to dry just a little bit, I'm going to follow this up with confetti. Now, what I'm also going to do, because, you know, we see that this is a, like, there seems to be layers and there's depth to this polish. And on the one hand, on the left, I'm just going to put confetti on top of this and, you know, we'll see how that goes. But then on the right, what I'm actually going to do, I'll do this first, I think, is go in with a very thin coat of Crack Polish's Vanille, which is a white jelly polish. I want to see if, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning, how the ideal color to this, to me, is somewhere between Sesame Bean on the left and Crinkled Linens on the right. I think that adding in a middle layer of Vanille ideally will help to push it slightly more in that direction. What I've also could have done, now that I think about it, okay, I'm just adding on stuff here, y'all. Hold up, where are we going? Okay, what I'm also gonna do, now that I'm thinking about this, is to see how this would go if I put on, start with Sesame Bean, like I'm doing here, and then before I put on any toppers, put on a coat of Vanille to kind of lighten it that way. We'll see. But let's go to the middle one here. You know, I'm so sorry. I am like super jumpy all over the place today. I mentioned in a couple of my most recent videos, I started a new job this week. Yay! And it's been wonderful. But you know, when you're starting a new job and you're onboarding and everything, you're just doing so much context switching and your head is just like jumping back and forth, back and forth. So I think if I'm extra jumpy today, that is why. Oh, okay. Yes. That is, between these two here, I am already seeing a difference with this lightened version of it. Oh. And so it's still giving me, I can still see the black there, that it's clearly there. Okay, let me show you how this looks if I just put confetti on the left, so we can have this as like a point of reference. Okay. And with confetti, it is a topper that a little bit can go a long way. You know, whenever I first put this down, initially, I'm just like, I don't see anything. But then when I just intentionally spread it out a bit without going back to the bottle, that is where I'm able to see a lot of that rainbow sparkle there. So I think that looks good. I mean, I'm just putting down a second coat of Sesame Bean just to be thorough and even here. I think this first option is okay, but do you see how it kind of like seems to fall a little bit flat? Like everything is clearly like residing on the same plane in a way. Whereas now, if I put this over option 2 in the middle where we had that thin jelly separator, please do what I think it's gonna do. Yes, that is the difference. Yo, what? Okay. Okay, something else that I don't intentionally do this, but I love it when it turns out that one of my best dupe attempts from a video is the one that's like sitting front and center of the swatch wheel so that it's like it'll draw the eye in the thumbnail. You know, times when like my middle swatch is like one that was, you know, there was an attempt, that's still cool too, but that is gorgeous. Okay, we're gonna come back and talk about that in just a second. But what was I gonna try to do over here? Hold up. Oh, okay, yeah. So I've got 2 coats of Sesame Bean. I want to maybe lighten this even more, so I'm gonna, hold up, let me think about this. Yes, I'm starting with an initial base that is lighter. So before I put down any toppers, I am lightening it up just a bit. And you know, this is also honestly a really good strategy to use in general. I'll also put a link in the description to a recent video that I did where I showed how I was able to use a different, like a yellow cream polish and vanilla, a white jelly, to do Crack Polish's banana powder, which is unfortunately no longer available. It really is amazing how, if you've got a great white jelly, like sorry, great white jelly sounds like a shark that's eating a sandwich. But if you have something like this where it's very self-leveling, you're able to get a lighter result, and without you needing to then have multiple cream polishes of all different gradients in your collection. Okay, so I like this so far. I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I did before, and basically what I'm wanting to see is, can I bump this even lighter now, because I'm still gonna put that middle coat of vanilla in there. Now, this is the point where I would also say that I want to be mindful and cognizant of exactly how many coats of polish I'm using here. So if we're counting what I've done so far, let me put just a little bit more mascara flakes there. So far on the right, I've put down 2 coats of sesame bean, 1 coat of vanilla, 1 coat of mascara flakes, and then I'm gonna follow this up with another coat of vanilla and then confetti, and that isn't even including base coat or top coat. So, there is no right or wrong approach for this as far as trying to decide if it's going to be worth it to you to say, like, oh, we're up to like 5 or 6 coats. Does that mean that I clearly need to just buy the polish that's available in PPU? For me, it's something where I think that I will, I will then ask myself, well, could I get away with just like 1 coat of the cream polish? Like in this case with Sesame Bean, because it's a blank beauty polish and their polishes are very opaque, I probably could. So that's one way to kind of cut back on that. But let's go ahead now and put in another coat of vanilla. I really like this combination. Okay. And so hopefully you can see the difference here in the lighting. So on the left, Sesame Bean on its own. On the right, this is where we added in 1 coat of vanilla in the process. And here on the right is where we have added in 2 coats of it. And I would say that even before I've put on the final coat of confetti here, I'm just going to give this a little bit to dry just somewhat more. I feel that the result on the right is the one that has the overall color tone that's closest to Rogue Lacquer's Rumours. However, I think that if I were to want to just wear this as a layering combination myself and to get somewhat close to that same result but without piling up too many coats of polish, I think I would be okay with wearing this one in the middle as a nice happy medium. I mean, look at that, right? That is really nice. It's like, if you like it's like funfetti but cookies and cream. Love it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put on confetti. I think I overdid it with the rainbows here. I got too excited. I double dipped. Oh no. So did I nail it? I think, yeah, I really did. I love the thought that went into this combination from Rogue Lacquer, and I highly recommend them as a brand, especially if you're into flake-based polishes. They are by far one of my favorite brands for that. So let's see this in some other lighting and go on to the next one. Next is Ophelia from KBShimmer. The website says that it is a soft, true mint green base that sets off an orange to gold shifting shimmer. Hollow glow flakes add a hint of diamond-like sparkle to this lacquer. And then it also says there's no cap, and it doesn't say this next part literally, but it's strongly implying that it was inspired by Taylor Swift's The Life of a Showgirl album cover. And so for this one, you might be wondering, Olivia, why do you have 4 options? Well, I will say that for times when I am really trying to show myself that remind myself rather of what I already have in my collection, and remind myself that what I have is almost certainly good enough to catch the vibe of a polish that I'm looking at, I'm like, you know what? I've got 4 options here, and I'm pretty sure at least one of these is gonna be good enough. So for each of these, what I'm gonna do, or actually each of these except the 4th one, I'm gonna start by adding on a coat of this orangey shimmer topper that I mixed up from pigment from Glitter Unique. It's the same one that I put on my thumbnail here. So as I do this, I'm gonna go through these one by one. First one is ILMP's Princeton, which is a linear hollow finish. And I know that the Ophelia polish from KBShimmer is not linear hollow, but it's, you know, this green is in the same color range, so I think it should be good. Yeah, see, we're getting somewhere. And nicely you can still see the linear hollow underneath. Okay, option number 2 is from Cirque Colors. This is Jade Jelly. As the name implies, it is a jelly polish that I've put here in 2 coats. So we're gonna add some shimmer. Okay, so far so good. Next is a Acrylic from Cracked called I'm Jaded, and this one I've also put down in 2 coats. You can see this one is probably the darkest of all the options I've got here, but I still wanted to test it out and see how it compares. And the last one. This is from Lurid Lacquer. It's a prototype 348. And depending on the angle, you can see how, like, okay, hold up. Like right there, it has like a pink purple kind of shimmer to it. But then there, it has more of a red orange shimmer to it. So I wasn't going to put shimmer on top of it, but because it already does have it, I've put it down here in 2 coats. But yeah, let's put some more shimmer on here. I wonder if this will push this more orange. Yeah, okay, cool. See, this is I love green polish, and I will be the first one to call myself out and be like, girl, you already have way too much green polish. Not way too much, but I have enough green polish right now at this point in time. So I you know, a lot of it tends to be on the darker side because I do love dark moody polishes, but I also have a lot that are in this kind of range. So here we are. Okay, and the last part here that I'm gonna put on, it says Hollow Glow Flakes, and the hollow flake topper that I always use here on this channel is from Jen and Barry's Magic Show. So let's see how this goes. Starting over ILMP's Princeton. Yeah, this is another one where a little bit goes a long way. I remember the first time I used this topper, I was like, I like hollow, and I just put a huge glob of it on, and I was like, oh, but do I like hollow that much? y'all, okay, see that, yeah, I do not need to buy another polish because I got all this here at home. That is cute. And you can see it's like very, wait, how can I hold this next to my current nail? Blank Beauty's After Party, the cream that I use as the foundation of this color here, is a bit more on the bluer side, but this could be a nice Skittle at some point. Okay, let's go on to Jade Jelly from Cirque. Yeah, same thing. That looks really cute too, and very similar to Ophelia. And I always like to take a look at multiple photos, multiple swatch photos as I'm swatching, just to make sure that I'm aiming towards something that is representative of, you know, the overall gist of it. Yeah, I like that a lot. If I were to compare these two, remembering that on the left, that's technically a linear hollow that we started with Princeton, I would be very curious to see how this looks in outdoor sunlight, which unfortunately here in the Midwest, we haven't really been having. I think there have been like occasional sporadic days where it's like, oh my goodness, it's sunny outside, like go outside, soak up all the sun, and then the next day we have a hailstorm. So once we have more consistently good weather, I'm absolutely gonna try that out. But I think I am leaning more towards preferring Jade Jelly over this one because this one has more of like a brighter appearance to it. But now let's go on to Cracks I'm Jaded. This one is okay. I mean, I think that this being a darker green has made it so that the orange glow shimmer that I put on top of it has, like, generally speaking, the darker your base color is, the more strongly you're gonna see that shimmer pop over it. And in this case, while I do love the inclusion of orange glow here, I feel like it's just a little bit too much here over I'm Jaded, whereas I like something that's more subtle with like Cirque's Jade Jelly. Okay, and let's try the last one here, the Lurid prototype. Okay, that's actually kind of nice too. You know, I was on the fence about whether or not I wanted to put on that additional orange shimmer here, but I feel that it did help to kind of mellow out the somewhat harsh pink shimmer there. And this kind of combination is one that I could actually see myself wearing a lot more than just this polish as it is like straight out of the bottle. Okay, so to answer the question of did I nail it? Yeah, absolutely. I think our best option here is number 2, where I started with 2 coats of Cirque's Jade Jelly, then put on an orange shimmer topper, and then followed it up with Hollow Flakes from Jen and Barry's Magic Show. I really do want to commend KBShimmer for how well, in my opinion, they have captured the color scheme of the Life of a Showgirl album in their Ophelia polish. And this combination here is one I could definitely see myself wearing. Like let me just see here real quick. So if I've got this polish here and then this kind of color with After Party, I feel like if I added in a third like similar but different cream as a base, and then did the same thing with like adding the gold shimmer and then some kind of hollow on top, whether it's hollow glitter like I have here or hollow flakes that are there. See, y'all, this is seriously how you can get more use out of your polishes, especially if you find that you've got a bunch of creams, you've got a bunch of jellies, but you just don't use them. This is why I love toppers. So yeah, let's take a look at this in some other lighting. The final polish that I'm going to try to dupe in this video comes from Garden Path Lacquers. It's called I No Longer Try to Be Good. The website says that it is a black base magnetic multichrome with shifts of green and bronze filled with red holographic micro glitter. And it was inspired by Florence and the Machine's new album called Everybody Scream. Now, okay, this one just is gorgeous to me. Like this combination of the red glitter and the like bronze magnetic pigment in there, those two together is just such an unexpected combination that somehow works. And also there's no cap for this one. So I'm gonna take two different approaches to this that I think may get us somewhere. For both of these, I'm starting with Bee's Knees Lacquer Void, a black cream polish, and I'm going to, for the first option, put down a coat of one of my favorite reds. This is Emily DeMolly's Dead to the World. I also love it when I'm wearing this. And people are like, "Oh, what polish are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Dead to the World." Yeah, so it's getting kind of low, so I'm just gonna have to really scrape near the bottom there. Okay. Now in this case, I'm wondering how this is going to look with me using Dead to the World like underneath the bronze magnetic topper that I'm going to put over it. So we're going to be testing a couple different things really. So one is, how well does this work when I'm using something like this kind of glittery filled jelly polish like Dead to the World, versus option 2, which is going to be somewhat different, and let me show you what that's going to entail. Okay, so for the second option, I'm going to start first by magnetizing Fancy Gloss's brass magnetic top coat. And then once I've done that, I'm going to follow it up with this like red glitter topper that I made with some glitter from, I think Glitter Unique, possibly. Now this is different from the, on the left, Fancy Gloss, I need you to roll out of here for a second. Okay, on the left is a red reflective glitter topper. On the right, this is just like straight up red glitter. Now with the one on the left, the reason I'm not using it for this dupe attempt is that even though it's red reflective glitter, it's technically like a combination of red and silver reflective glitter, and I don't want to see silver in this, I want to see red. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna start with the brass magnetic top coat on the right. Okay. Yeah, I love this brass magnetic topper. It's so like, just, I was about to say rustic. Rustic's not the word I'm going for. I think it's just very, it's classy or something. So I'm just gonna give that a moment to magnetize. Okay, so here's how it looks, just kind of with just from doing black underneath, brass magnetic topper over that. So far so good. Now we're gonna go back to Dead to the World and put the brass magnetic topper over this and see how that looks. I mean, just from what I'm doing here so far, the color match is on point. Like that and sometimes even if it's the case that I can't get the exact color I can't get the exact kind of finish that I'm looking for, but as long as I get the colors that are in the right ballpark, that's more than enough to be like, okay, I did that. Oh, y'all, what? That is gorgeous. That is stunning. Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. That's, I'm sorry. I'm literally speechless right now. I really like that. Now let's see what happens if I'm gonna put this red glitter topper over it. Okay. And so it's gonna be a question of like, how much is this red gonna show up? Because I'm seeing it here, but it's not to the same density of what's in the Garden Path Lacquers one. But I do think I know what I'm gonna do next, and you all will see. Okay, so the second option I think is, I understood what I was trying to do here, and I do think that this second option isn't bad, but for the cat eye style of magnetizing this, you don't get anywhere near as close to the amount of red that you have when you use something like starting with Dead to the World. So I also want to put some more glitter over the option on the left, because some of the swatch photos that I'm seeing have it where you can see that as much as there's like red in the background, that red is also still kind of in many ways sprinkled over the brass magnetic line. And then especially seeing how like the density of this of the glitter topper that I've mixed up here, I think that me adding in just a little bit of that there, it's not going to completely wreck things to the point where I'm like, oh no, what did I do? And so if it's the case that you are someone who does, you want to replicate this, but you don't necessarily have like, a bespoke red glitter topper like I've got, I would say take a look through your collection and see what you have that could come close. Like if it's something that is jam-packed with red glitter like Dead to the World, you would be surprised like what you might be able to do to make that happen. You could also start with like a different color of glitter over black, and then maybe put a red jelly over that to tint it a bit. Get creative with it. Oh, yep. Okay. See, now I'm seeing some glitter over top of it. Did I nail it? Yeah, I did that. That is so spot on. Wow. This was a very successful video. I'm stunned. Sometimes it just doesn't work, but this time it did. So let's take a look at this in some other lighting and then go ahead and get wrapped up. Yeah, so this video was a lot of fun. I was very surprised by how well some of my dupe attempts turned out. I think probably the one that I could see myself wearing the most would be either my dupe attempt for that the Rogue Lacquer Rumours one with the like white off-white crelly with the black and rainbow flakes, and then also my dupe for the KBShimmer Ophelia. That was one where, like, I know I went a little overboard maybe by pulling out 4 different greens to test, but that's the thing where sometimes I have a vision in my mind of how something might go, but then it's not until I actually test it out that I see, oh, here's like, these are all 4 green polishes, but then if I'm trying to combine them with other things like shimmers or glitter toppers, they're not all going to react or behave the same way. So I get to choose from options, and then it really is a way for me to just find some greater appreciation in the polishes that I already own. So please let me know in the comments if there are, what polishes are on your wish list for PPU this month. Are there any polishes that you are trying to dupe that you might not have figured out a possible combination for? So let me know, and I'm always happy to help come up with some ideas for that. And also let me know, what are some of your favorite albums too? Like, I loved reading the comments on my previous video about my favorite albums, like to see so many of you say that like you also were a fan of Fiona Apple or La La Land and so on. It's always great to get to know more about all of you. So thank you all so much for being here on this channel, watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.